Hi, I'm Jonathan. I am a family therapist. I'm also an addictions counselor. I help families that have been impacted by addiction. They need help. They need to learn what steps to take to be able to move on to a better place in their lives. And I recently helped a woman who reached out to me through my website. She was telling me how her life was completely out of control. Her husband was a cocaine addict, and he was hardly ever around. He certainly wasn't helping with their little children. He was just using more money than he was bringing in, and it's like the only thing he was focused on was getting high. And she didn't know what to do. She had been living with this for years, and it just kept getting worse and worse. And she was asking me, she's like, he loves us. He says he loves us. Why does he keep doing this? And I explained to her at first that this behavior from her husband had nothing to do with love at this point. He had made so many bad choices, so many choices that his life was now at a place where he didn't have a choice. His life was unmanageable. It was out of control. He was addicted. He was a slave to these drugs, where all he was focused on now was how to get high, how to keep using his drug. And it had nothing to do with love. It was more about his need to maintain his addiction. Now, of course, that hurt her so badly. I mean, the devastation that she and her children were living in, it hurts very, very bad. But basically, I told her he needed help, and she was not going to be able to provide that help. And as she told me more about her story, she was really in this bad pattern that I see in almost every addicted home. Because she loved him, she cared about him, she was attached to him, and she wanted him to get better. I mean, she believed him so many times when he said he was under control. She believed him so many times when he said he was going to make more money and he was going to be around more. But clearly it wasn't going to happen. His life was out of control. And so I asked her to focus more on herself, to take a look at what was going on in her life and how she was responding to this situation. Because there's this concept in an addicted home, you have the addicted person, but then you tend to also have a person or people who are enablers, the ones that just want to believe that it's going to work, but they're blinded. They're blinded by their love. They're blinded by their concern. They want to help this person. They don't want to hurt this person. But basically, they don't stand up for themselves. They don't put their foot down and say, no, there's a limit here. There are boundaries. I am not going to live like this anymore. You either need to make a change or you need to move forward. And because a lot of enablers think that's a betrayal. Like they are betraying the other person when they set a boundary, when they set a limit. But see, that limit is not cruel. It's not unnecessary. It's a very, very important thing because you're saying this is a limit of what is right and what is wrong. This is a limit that says what is healthy and what is unhealthy. And I want you to be in this healthy relationship with me. I want you to make good choices, but I can't cross this line. I cannot live this unhealthy life. Please come over here. It's an invitation for them to make changes, right? You're not choosing the addiction for them. You're not choosing all this bad behavior for them. They are choosing that. You're asking them to stay on the right side of the line. That is what a boundary is. And that's what I helped this woman set up. To set boundaries that were based on what was healthy, what was right, what she needed to do for her kids, and how they needed to move forward and not be in this chaos anymore. Now, what happened in her situation was her husband was too far gone in his addiction. He was unwilling to accept those boundaries. And he tried to put it back on her. He tried to say, how dare you tell me that I can't live this way, that I can't do these things, right? But she wasn't telling him what he could and couldn't do. She was just telling him what was healthy and right and what needed to happen for him to be with her, with the kids, because she couldn't let this unhealthy stuff go on. So unfortunately, he chose to leave. He could not accept that, and she could not accept him living with them in that addiction. Now, does he come back? Well, I don't know, but what I told her is that boundary right there was the very best thing that she could do for him to create change in his life, because she just created a massive change. That is a relationship that he is choosing to lose. He's losing relationships. He's losing being around his kids because of his choice of addiction. That might be the start of a wake-up call for him. He's probably going to have a few more wake-up calls, kind of hit that rock bottom, his rock bottom. And hopefully he'll do that. And maybe he will make changes and come back. But what was darn sure is that he was not going to change as things were. And as long as she kept excusing his behavior and letting him back in and letting him take the money and letting him just run wreck through their life, he didn't have a reason to change. So that's why she needed to set that boundary. Now that is such a very, very hard thing to do. Because sometimes it feels like you're betraying the person. You don't want to see them suffer. You worry about their health. I have people say, well, what if they're homeless? What if they die? What if they do all this? You're not doing that to them, right? And keeping them in your life with all that chaos, or allowing them to live without boundaries in your life, it's not only destructive for them, it's destructive for you. It's just not going to work. So I want to encourage you. You need to set those boundaries. And when you're wrapped up in addiction, when you're in the middle of it, it's so hard to see. It's so hard to see past the love and what's the right step and when's the right step to take and how do you say it. That's why you need help. You need other people in your life. And I encourage you to reach out. Reach out to other people that you know have a level head on them and they care about you. There's organizations that can help you out. There's Al-Anon. There's some churches that have groups. There might be something within your community, a community addiction center that can help you out. You can also go to my website, jonathanleague.com. I will show you step by step through my coaching site the things that you need to do, the things you need to say, the steps you need to take to be able to move past this life of addiction and get to that place that you really want to be, to have peace, to have relief. Subscribe to this YouTube channel and you will see the videos that I am putting out every week to help those who are living with addiction. Hey, you take care. I'll talk to you soon.